I do distinctly remember that book. 2006 was the original release date for Oblivion over on 360 and the almighty PS3. The game has been remastered, complete surprise, came out of nowhere, has thrown a massive spanner in my schedule. This is not the deepest of dives, and this is the game over on Game Pass on the GTX 1660. I do want to ideally revisit this on the 9th gen console, preferably the PS5. So please stay tuned, and my name is Couch Coop. It was kind of a battle to get the thing to run correctly. I do have frame rates up in the top right that will kick in a second, but at default insult to low, I did have a large amount of time to fiddle around with the variables. I ended up just switching to medium, turning most of my effects off, but this footage is on high, and wow, I was impressed with the interiors and the lighting, but it all comes to an end once you step out into the bigger, wider world. But that's only for mid-level PCs. I haven't seen too many performance complaints from mid-level consoles, and 9th gen, so far so good, but I want some comments on this. It is literally all happening as we speak. And just before you step out in true Bethesda style, you get the last chance to decide whether you want body type A or B.
Oh, hello. What's going on with
Hi.
you?
Because of the Bethesda Microsoft deal, Game Pass subscribers got this on day one. Now, that service has been unbelievably aggressive over these last couple of months. Let's think about it. We had Avowed, we had Atomfall came in, South of Midnight, not so much. Expedition 33 is downloading as I'm speaking. They are pushing, really pushing to make it a worthwhile service. So we've got some frame rates up in the top right-hand corner. Now, there's kind of 3 stages for performance with this game, I feel, and it's outside completely. Then you've got these gated smaller city areas, and then you've got like very small tight linear corridor areas. The performance goes obviously in reverse order, and the large open big expanses are where it very much struggles, particularly coming in and out of a building and entering a new larger area. But all of this stuff is perfect. It dips to like 40 from 60, but I can kind of cope with that. Load times are not too bad considering how many of them there are, and I have had a few sort of hanging on loads and hard crashes, but again, nothing major. Stuff like this on PC is always a bit of a jank. This footage is yesterday, and some of the video has got today's gameplay in it, so quite hot off the press. Anybody who had early access to this, some of the bigger name reviewers, I'd be very interested to see how that performance was, and I think reviewing a game prior to its actual official release now is a bit of a counterproductive thing to do, because by day 2 you may have had a completely game-changing patch roll in. Kind of got a bit of a conundrum there, haven't you, big name reviewers, because your day 1 review most of the time is out of date by the end of that day. I think us smaller to mediums can clear up there. They never go back, they just get their day 1 clout and then move on, which is kind of worthless really for an actual gamer who wants to see down the line if something has been improved. Anyways, look at the little GTX 1660 go. It's beautiful, this game, really stunning, a great remaster. This also sparked up the debate about remake and remaster. Everyone's like, this is good enough to be called a remake. That UI's been slickened up, and I love all the symbols and sort of snappy dialogue and menus. I love how it all works. It's very quick and easy. Feels like a modern game. I was expecting a lot of jank in that direction. Fiddly menus, annoying shortcuts. No, everything amazing. The rework and improvement on the character models, NPCs, is mind-blowing. You'll all remember, some of you, what these guys used to look like. Seriously, it is like seeing a new, almost current-gen rework of very familiar faces.
Take care.
Strangely enough, 2006 is one of my few blind spots, particularly with Bethesda games. I actually never owned this and didn't fully get into it. I had a mate that had a 360 and this, and I had to just sit there, watch him, go in that guidebook every so often. I remember them getting the vampiric disease. We couldn't work out how to get the blessings. But Oblivion, and I will say this, it was one of the most eye-opening open world moments, first stepping out of those sewers into the main area, seeing one of the deers hop over one of those green hills. The lighting was unreal. It was a massive moment for gamers. I'll never forget it. Bethesda were the market leaders in building a decent open world source and sorcery game, and technically they still hold that crown with Skyrim. Few have come close to Skyrim's magnitude. I do wonder why they didn't drum this release up more. It was announced like a whole year ago out of the blue, and no one really thought it was going to happen, and then pop, bang, yesterday it's just there, sat on Game Pass, and it's also multi-platform. Check out the Northern Lights, the Aurora, I think that's what they're called. Pretty amazing stuff. The old fans going at this point though. As you can see, it isn't all plain sailing all of the time. Some of the combat gets in a bit of a muddle, some of the detection's a little bit up in the air, some of the dialogue is absolutely hilarious, and they have reworked facial animations on characters when they talk to you, and it is so strange looking for me. It's kind of remastered but not. You'll see what I mean, and you can already tell that the memes are being born every second, with every word spoken by most of the NPCs.
Welcome to the Walnut Inn. Could I interest you in a room or perhaps a bit of wine?
I went with the most vanilla build humanly possible. Yes, the warrior brawler. I didn't even deviate on the sort of birth sign thing, so it's all about swinging, chopping, dual wielding, getting a shield, which doesn't come quick enough as far as I'm concerned, or an actual allocated horse. But I was quite impressed that this isn't just a swing and hope, and you do have to guard. There isn't a side dodge. I think that's probably 2019 and onwards. But you do have to apply some thought, and there are some OP enemies walking around that starter biome.
May I help you?
So then it's the old game's namesake and get yourself to an Oblivion gate and sort it all out. And I wasn't quite sure of this game model. I haven't actually played this video game before, so I'm quite a blank canvas on all of the expectations with the remaster. And I was quite impressed with how dark it is inside those gates, and the idea of the sort of cleansing of the area, having some NPCs support you is pretty cool. It holds up quite well against brand new action RPGs, this game. I didn't think I'd be saying that this early into looking at the game. My brain just keeps going to Avowed. That was the last thing I sort of played in the Sword and Sorcery canon, and that just made me think, wow, that literally came out the other day, and this is coming up to 19 years old. That raw model is still pretty cool and quite impressive, and it's a big wake-up call as well to how stagnated the industry's probably got in the Sword and Sorcery direction. Also, once in these areas, if you check out the frame counter, it kind of copes a little better. It's not the full-blown open world section of the game, and I really enjoy the almost Doom-like aesthetic within these hellholes. It's awesome, and they're only going to get better, and that's a great incentive. Getting the gates closed, sorting out an area, and facing some formidable enemies within said gate. Things get even better on the performance front as you venture into tighter areas and you see all this amazing lighting and lava and fire and awesome architecture. The game is far more gory and adult than I remember it being, and this remaster just drills that home a lot more. You've got corpses on fire hanging upside down and bone crushing machines everywhere. It's a quite an experience. That improved performance on smaller areas definitely helps with the combat, and it doesn't hold back with a couple of crowded areas on that opening quest. And just like Skyrim, regardless of how vanilla and brawler you go, you still get a little bit of magic. So you've got heal and you've got firebolt, which is very liberating. You've technically got 3 attack equipment slots, being right hand, left hand for a shield or something else, a torch, and then your magic can come through on top of it all. game got me thinking about Atomfall and its question marker system. You do actually have to read what people are saying to you, because they'll give a location of a section of quest and it won't have a massive arrow above it. You'll have to go into a chapel or go down and talk to someone in the village about someone else, and it will then reveal and lead on from there on in. So there is some noggin involvement. There is reading. That does feel quite refreshing, always having a hand holding everywhere in what's supposed to be an open world sword and sorcery game can get a little bit suffocating, and it's nice to see or be reminded how it used to be. Lovely bit of rain in the reflections here, and I do want to doff my cap at how lived in this open world feels, and is looking incredible with this new lick of paint, and it is massive. That map is absolutely colossal, which brings me over to a bit of horse footage. Now this is how I'm going to do this with the PS5 review of the game. I'm going to wait for a bit. It will take me a while to get to it, but by then this would have been patched to the hilt. But at the moment I do struggle to reach 30 frames per second, even though I'm targeted at 60 when on horseback and in the open larger areas of that map. This could be affecting everybody. I would very much like to hear from Xbox S owners. You guys are probably as close to the GTX 1660 as opposed to the 9th gen machines. These frame drops may be affecting everybody. I've seen the leaving a building and coming out into the open world stuff happen to most people, so there's definitely some patch needed on performance, but it does look like an easy fix. I hope to God they don't change any of the dialogue or facial animations though.
I could use a hand! God's blood! That came out of nowhere! Have you seen Grandmaster Joffrey?
This remaster does feel like a bit of a triumph, however. Regardless of some of its performance issues and how it's working on my PC, I'm still having an incredible time with it, and being lucky enough not to have gone right through that original game gives me huge incentive to keep going, particularly over on the 9th generation system. I will link Avowed. I think that's really important that you guys check that out alongside this, because you can perfectly peg what's been going down. I gotta say a huge thanks to anybody watching this off the back of my Lords of the Fallen patch review. That is still doing incredibly massive thank yous. For some reason there's no body type A, body type B selection in that game. I was Couch Coup. We'll see you down there.
Help! You must help! They're killing everyone!